everyone, my name is Micheline Navatisas and I'll be your host for your lessons today. The theme for this week is staying calm, so let us all just remember to stay calm as we are going to take care of one another. Let us just remember always to wash our hands and to sanitize. Speaking of sanitize, let me pull out my best friend, Mr. Sanitizer, and just sanitize. Let's just go all around, make sure it's between the fingers and around the thumb. So we're heading to grade 1, week 8, lesson 4. And teacher Olgas will be facilitating that lesson. So grade 1s, I hope you're ready because we're going to learn about all the type of shapes and some data handling. Over to you, teacher Olgas.
Explanation of symbols on worksheets are as follows. Use coloring crayons to color the picture. Use your finger to follow the track or line or show the correct picture. Use a coloring crayon to draw a line or write a number or sound. Look at the picture and say the number or sound out loud. Use a scissors to cut on the dotted line. Look at the picture. Use these symbols for the lesson of the day, which will be allocated at the top right side of each page. For example, lesson 1, prepositions and directions.
Good day, welcome to my Zone Online School. My name is Ms. Priska Olgas and I'm joined here by my friend. We are still busy with the topic of transport, but before we go on with our lesson of today, I want us to always remember to sanitize our hands and social distance. Make sure there is social distance whenever you are around people. Now let us sanitize our hands. The lesson of today is focusing on tenses, shapes, data handling, odd and even numbers. Today we are going to focus on the tenses, present, past, and the future. Present tells us what we are doing now, and the past tells us what we have done already, and the future tense tells us what we are still going to do. Now, we will start with the present tense. Presently, we are sitting. It's always best to start with the present tense. Flying. And singing. If you turn to page 21, you will see what I'm talking about. You will see on page 21 that we have the present, the past, and the future tenses. Now coming back to our chalkboard again, we have placed already sitting, flying, singing under present because it's what we are doing at the moment. Now we can talk about the past tense. In the past tense, we sat. Present, we sitting. In the past, we sat. Present, we are flying. In the past tense, we flew. In the present tense, we are singing. But in the past tense, we sung. Now we can go over to the future tense. Future, in the present tense, we are sitting, but in the future, what will we do? We will sit. We will sit. In the present tense, we are flying, but in the future tense, we will fly. Will. Don't forget the word will, because it's something that you are still going to do. In the present tense, we are singing, but in the future tense, we will sing. And that is all about our tenses, the past, present, and the future tenses. Now we are going to talk and learn all about different shapes: circle, rectangle, triangle, square. And if you go to page 23, on page 23, you will see that it says, count and color each shape and then graph it to the graph. So you have to count them first and then you circle them. I will do the first one with you, the circle. You will see the circle is in the first column. You will see that there are numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there are blocks according to these numbers. And you have the circle here. We are going to count the circle. On the same page, you will see that there are different shapes and circles are also there. We are only going to do the circles for now. We're going to count the circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 circles. So you go to your graph. This is your graph. You find the shape. It's a circle. You count the blocks now, because we have counted the circles here and there are 5 circles. Now we're going to count the blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll start 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because there are 5 circles. So what you're going to do, take your crayon, a color, any color that you want, and you are going to color in. I'm not doing it perfectly, but I know that you are going to do it much nicer and perfectly. What you have to do is, because we have counted 5 circles, you are going to color in up to number 5. Up to number 5. We can do this together. Take your crayons and color in up to number 5. I'm not coloring perfectly, but you are going to color in perfectly. Up to number 5, because there are 5 circles. I want you to do the rectangle, the triangle, and the square by yourself at home. Mommy and Daddy will assist you. Now turn to page 23. On page 24, if you turn to page 24, it's a similar thing. It's also a graph. But this time, I want you to do everything yourself. You have to count how many trucks there are and which color they are, how many helicopters there are, and how many cars there are. And what we did to the previous one, it's what you're also going to do. Now, if you go to the first one, I see a ship there. And this ship is also in all the ship and cars and trucks that there are. Now we're going to count how many they are. And it's color blue. So let's go and count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many ships did you count? Yes, 4. So what you do, go and find the ship at the graph under, and you're going to count 4 blocks. Color in from 1 up to 4. Have you done that? Oh yes, I'm sure you've done that. Now for the helicopter and the truck and the car, I want you to do that yourself because I know you can do it. Please turn to page 25. It's all about the odd and the even numbers. Page 25. Are you there? Okay. Now we come back to the chalkboard and I will explain a bit more about the odd and even numbers and what we have to do on this page. On the board, you will see there's a worm with all the numbers from 1 up to number 9. And then you will see the odd number and color green, the even number and red. Now the instructions tells us that if you look at the instructions just between the worm, you will see at number 1 that it says color all the even numbers red. Now you take your red crayon, a red one, and you color all the even numbers. You have to color in red. I will try and do the first 2 for you. Although my red is not so clear, but you know that all the even numbers is when you share equally amongst 2 people. But if you can't share, then it's an odd number. If you are 2 and you only have 1 sweet, then you cannot share between 2. So then that is an even number. But if you are 2 and you have 2 sweets, you can share them equally, then that is an even number. Now all the even numbers are 2, 4, 6, and 8. All those even numbers you must color in red. And all the odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. You color them all green. I have done the first one for you. You color it in nicely. My color red is not so good, but I'm sure you know your colors. You know the red and the green. I want you to do this by yourself at home. Let mommy assist you. Now we have come to the end of our lesson. I hope you have enjoyed yourself. But before we close off, I want us to remember that we always have to sanitize our hands. Can we do that? Sanitize our hands. And remember also to keep social distance. Always. Now, let's invite our friend Zashi to come and say bye-bye.
Hi everyone, I'm back, and if you are scared of what you read on social media, talk to your parents and ask them the questions. They know everything. Until next time, bye!
Thank you so much, Teacher Ogas. Grade 2s and 3s, are you ready for your lesson? Because I am. So let us just remember always to wash our hands. Just a tip, constantly wash your hands for 20 seconds. Now we're moving over to grade 2 and 3, week 8, lesson 4. And Teacher Mutsa will be facilitating that lesson. We're going to learn about verbs and rhyming words. Over to you, Teacher Mutsa.
everyone, and welcome to My Zone Online School. My name is Teacher Musa, and I have my friend joining us for today's lesson. Let's say hi to everyone at home. Our theme this week has been autumn, and we're going to talk more about autumn in this lesson. But before we get to the lesson, we need to sanitize our hands. So take your sanitizer and make sure that you really sanitize your hands in between and the fingertips as well, round and round, and on the wrists. Well done. I'd also like you to just shake your hands a little to dry it and to check your social distancing. Make sure that you're not touching anyone around you. Very good. Today's lesson, we'll be talking about verbs, question words, rhyming words, and onset rhyme. Our first exercise for this lesson can be found on page 21. We are going to be talking about verbs. Now, a verb is a word that shows an action. You can see on those two pictures, someone is walking and someone is reading. Remember, an action is something you can actually do. So we are going to do a little thing here together. We are going to do some actions together. I would like you to please stand up at home and you're going to do the action I say. Are we ready? The first action is jump. Well done. The next action is run. Run like a cheetah is chasing you. Well done. The next action is swim. Like you're swimming in the ocean. Very good. And the last action, and we're going to ask our friend Zashi to join us, is dance. Woo! Dancing, dancing. Well done, everyone. So, let us take a look back at our exercise. We have the words that are meant to be circled in each sentence. Now that we know what actions are and what verbs are, let's take a look at A. Kevin ran all the way home after school. Now, we are looking for the verb. And remember, if you can't do the action, then the word is not a verb. So if I asked you, can you Kevin? That is not a verb. So our verb is the word ran. I'd like you to please circle the word ran. I want you to do this exercise by yourself. Take your time to read the sentences. And remember, if you cannot do the action, then it is not a verb. Let's take a look at number 2 of that same page. Here, they are asking you to write 4 short sentences using the verbs in the bracket. We have the word eat, drive, play, and drink. And I'd like you to please use them carefully. You can see that there are pictures to help you make your sentences. Remember, a sentence starts with a capital letter and ends with a full stop. The sentence must also make sense. So please think of your sentence in your head and make sure it makes sense before you write it down. I hope you really had fun with that one. I know that I enjoyed it. Let's hope you managed to complete your exercise. Let's now turn to page 22 for our next exercise. This one is very interesting. We are going to be talking about question words. Question words are fun because we use them every day, but we just don't know what they are for. So let us take a look at the table we have there. It says who, what, when, where, why, and how. And it even tells us what every question is used for. Who is a person? What is asking for information? When is a time? Where is a place? Why is the reason something happened? And how is a number or the way something is done? When we take a look at this table that we have, It shows us how to use the question words correctly. Now I would like us to attempt the exercise below. Now that we have talked about the different question words, let's take a look at this exercise. It says choose and write the correct word from the word box. You can see from the word box we have all our question words there. I'd like us to do number 1 together. It says, dash are you doing? Remember, from our table, we saw that who, what, when, where, and why have the correct ways of being used. So here, I would say the answer is what, because we are asking for information. So our answer and full sentence will be, what are you doing? Let's move to number 5. Number 5 says, dash are you sad? Now, this seems like it's asking for a reason, because we are noticing that someone is sad. So we want to know, why are you sad? So our answer is why. The rest of these you can do by yourselves. And remember, if you get stuck, go back to the table and check whether you use who, where, why, what, how, or when. Enjoy yourselves. Let's now turn to page 23. On page 23, we have a poem that we have to recite, but this time it is a rhyme. I am going to read this poem or this rhyme for you, and you are going to listen. So I am going to read it twice, and then you will read it by yourselves at home. Let's start. Little leaves fall softly down, red and yellow, orange and brown, whirling and twirling round and round, falling softly to the ground. Little leaves fall softly down on the lawn to make a carpet on the ground. Then, swish, the wind comes whistling by and send them dancing up to the sky. That is a beautiful rhyme, and you can see the leaves dancing up and down. I am going to read it one more time, but this time I want you to point out by yourselves the words that rhyme in the poem. Are we ready? Let's go. Little leaves fall softly down, red and yellow, orange and brown, whirling and twirling round and round, falling softly to the ground. Little leaves fall softly down on the lawn to make a carpet on the ground. Then swish, the wind comes whistling by and send them up dancing in the sky. Wow, I really love this poem. As you can see, they gave you an example just below about words that have the same letters which give them the same sound. On one side we have could and we have good. We have taught and it rhymes with the word bought. And all the other words we can see rhyme with each other. Your job is to write 2 pairs of words that rhyme from the poem that we have read. That is why I would like you to read it by yourselves to look for the words that rhyme together. Remember, a rhyme is when the words have the same letters or sound so that they can be the same. Let us now turn to page 24. On page 24, we can see a colorful table. And this table is also about rhyming. It's asking us to circle the word on each row that rhymes with the word on the left. Our words on the left are the yellow ones. So we have traded, great, bear, bounce, grow, throw, speak, and sail. You are going to check the yellow column against the blue, the gray, and the green column to check which word rhymes. Let's do the first one together. We are looking at the word traded. Does traded rhyme with foot? I don't think so. Does traded rhyme with behind? No, not really. Does traded rhyme with skated? Yes, that is the answer. So I'd like you to please circle the word skated. The rest I'm sure you can do by yourselves. Remember, if you come across a word you cannot sound or say, you can ask your parents to help you say the word, but not to help you do the exercise. Let us move now to page 25. On page 25, we have onset rhyme. This one is a little tricky, so we're going to do this whole exercise together. As you can see, there are two types of tables. One that has blank columns and another one that has sounds, blended sounds together. Remember, we did talk about these sounds before. And so we're now going to use these sounds to match them up with the column that is there. Remember, all the words need to be real words, very real words, my dear children, so that they make sense, just like sentences. So let's take the first sound we can see. We can see the sound at the bottom of the column, sm. Let's say sm together. Sm. Very good. Let us now look at the column where we have all the other sounds. Now, sm-ed is not exactly a word. Let's go to the next one. Smipe. No, smipe is not really a word either. Then we have smite. Not exactly the word we're looking for. Then we have smam. Not really. I think there's a better one. There's smibe. I don't know what smibe is. Then there's smike. That sounds like a made-up word as well. Then we have smile. Oh, let's say that together. Smile. That sounds like the word smile. So I would like you to please write the sound sm next to the other sound, I'll. And I'd like you to cross that off because that means we cannot use sm again. Let's do one more together. We have the sound brr. Let's say the sound together, brr. One more time, brr. Now let's try and look for its matching sound in the column. Do we say bride? Well, we can't say bride. Wow, that was very lucky of us. Let's see if there are any more words that match with brr. There's bribe. That doesn't sound like a real word either. Then we have bright. Wow, there's another one. Okay. Then we have brime. I don't know what a brime is. That's probably not a real word either. Then there's bribe. That is a real word, but I don't think that is the correct one. Now you see why you have to go through all the sounds and all the words together, because sometimes a sound can match for more than one word, which is why when you use it, you must cross it out so that you don't use it again. For this exercise, my dears, you're going to do it by yourselves. Take your time, sound out each letter if you need to, and make sure that if there are any corrections you need to do before you say it is correct, do it. I hope you're going to have fun with this. And remember, they need to be real words. Good luck. We have come to the end of our lesson today, and I hope you had fun. Now remember, it is very important that you sanitize your hands every other time. And when you do, you know that you are protecting yourself against COVID-19. Make sure that you also check your social distancing so that you can also protect the people around you as well. But I haven't seen our friend today. Oh, Zashi, where are you? Oh, there he is. So, from my friend Zashi and I, we would like to say bye.
Hi everyone, I'm back, and if you are scared of what you read on social media, talk to your parents and ask them the questions. They know everything. Until next time, bye!
Thank you so much, Teacher Mutsa. You took me back down memory lane with all the rhyming words. Now we're heading over to grade 5, week 8, lesson 8. And we are going to learn about some nutrition as the subject is science. And Teacher Sitekela will be gracing us for that lesson. Over to you, Teacher Sitekela.
Good morning to you all, boys and girls, all over Namibia, and welcome to My Zone Online School. My name is Miss Irene Siteketa, and with me in the studio today, I have our good friend, Chanel. Welcome, Chanel, and let's say hi to the viewers. So, before we start, boys and girls, let's take our sanitizer. We sanitize our hands. Make sure that we rub the sanitizer on our hands, on our palm, between our fingers, behind our palm, on our thumb. Chanel? Good. Now let's try to do the distancing drilling. So just for us to make sure that we are keeping a distance. Thank you. So today our topic is nutrition. Well, boys and girls, let's go to page 16 in our booklet. So under the heading nutrition, we have sources of food. Chanel, what are sources of food? Boys and girls, I hope you all have the answers. When we talk of sources of food, we are referring to where does our food come from? Where do we get food? So mainly, our food comes from plants and animals. Do you agree with me? Think about last night. What did you have for dinner? Yes. I can see some of you are saying you had pap and meat, spaghetti and chicken, beans and rice. So look at this food. So you can see that some comes from plants and some comes from animals. That's what we are going to discuss about today. But before we go deep in detail, let's look at our competences. Boys and girls, remember that last time I told you that competences, they serve as questions. So these are the questions we as teachers set up either in an activity, in a test, or even in your examinations. So our competences for today are: define a balanced diet. It's the diet containing all the necessary food substances in the right amounts. Describe the effects of poor eating habits in relation to lack of variety of food. For example, goiter and marasmus. Describe how the effects of poor eating habits can be prevented through a balanced diet. So these are our 3 basic competences. Well, to continue, let's look at our vocabularies. Our vocabulary today are nutrition. This is the process of getting the food necessary for health and growth. Balanced diet. It contains the right amount of food from all the 6 food groups, including water. Let's go now on page 17. Goiter. Goiter is a swelling of the neck resulting from an enlargement of the thyroid gland. What is a thyroid gland? Thyroid gland is located at the front of the neck, just below the Adam's apple, and is essential for life, growth, and development. Marasmus. It is a condition of chronic undernourishment occurring especially in children and usually caused by a diet deficiency in calories and protein. So these are our vocabularies. Well, boys and girls, let's look at the balanced diet. What is a balanced diet? Chanel, do you know what a balanced diet is? Good. A balanced diet is the diet containing all the necessary food substances in the right amount. Just like what the word says, balance, and then diet. So you make sure that the food that you eat needs to be balanced, because that is the food that we eat every day. Well, when we talk of balanced diet, we are referring of a diet, of a meal that has all food substances or all food groups that can provide us with all the nutrients our body needs. What are these nutrients? So the nutrients are carbohydrates, fats, proteins, fats and oils, vitamins, minerals, and that includes water and fiber. Good. On the picture, on page 17, you can see that it gives you some examples of food that provides you with carbohydrates. So I'm sure that you are able to identify all those food sources because we know them, they are familiar to us. Then there are also some food sources that gives you liquids and fats. Next, we look at also the food sources that provide us with protein. And on the pie chart, next to the food sources, it shows us how much do we need for each food substance or for each nutrient. For example, when you look at carbohydrates, it provides a big portion of our meal. Why? Chanel, do you know? Well, simply because carbohydrates is the one that provides energy. So these are our energy providing food. Next is protein. When you look at protein, it needs to cover 25 to 35% of our meal. The reason is because protein is needed for our body building. Next are fats. So fats, we need a small amount of fats, only 15 to 25%. Because fats, they also provide us with energy storing foods. Boys and girls, let's continue. Next, we look at the effects of poor eating habits in relation to lack of variety of food. For example, goiter and marasmus. So what happens when you don't eat a balanced diet? That's what we mean by saying the effects of poor eating habits. Not everyone can always get the food they need to be healthy all the time. Many children suffer from malnutrition. So when we talk of malnutrition, we are referring to the diseases that we get due to not eating the right amount of food. So, and this is when they either do not get enough food or they do not get enough of the right type of food. A lack of a balanced diet can cause, look at the picture there. So you can see that the picture is showing you different malnutrition diseases. So these are diseases that you can get if you don't have a balanced diet or if you don't eat a balanced diet. You can see there on the picture, we have scurvy, that is a disease that can destroy your gums. We have kwashiorkor, we have marasmus, we have goiter. Now let's move to page 18. As I mentioned earlier from the previous page, that marasmus is one of the malnutrition diseases. So let's look at marasmus. What is it and what causes it? Marasmus is a form of a severe protein and energy malnutrition deficiency. So this is a disease that you will suffer from if you don't have food that contain protein or energy-giving food. Malnutrition deficiency, what are the symptoms? How will you know that this child is suffering from malnutrition? So a child with marasmus looks very thin, just like what you see on the picture there. The child looks very thin. The body weight may be reduced less than 80% of the average weight that corresponds to the height. The next malnutrition disease that we are looking at is goiter. What is goiter? What causes it? Goiter is a swelling in the neck resulting from an enlarged thyroid gland. A goiter can be associated with a thyroid that is not functioning properly. Worldwide, over 90% of goiter cases are caused by iodine deficiency. In short, boys and girls, this is telling you that if you don't have iodine in your diet, you are going to suffer from a disease called goiter. And the symptoms of goiter is the swelling of the thyroid gland that you have in your neck. So meaning your Adam's apple will grow larger. So when you see that, then you must know that you are suffering from goiter or somebody is suffering from goiter. So this goiter, it's a borrowed word from Latin. So which means gataria, meaning throat, is a disease of the throat. Boys and girls, are you still enjoying our lesson? Chanel, are you still enjoying the lesson? Well, let's continue. Next, we look at describe how the effects of poor eating habits can be prevented through a balanced diet. The best way to prevent marasmus is to have an adequate intake of calories and protein, preferable from a health food. When we talk of calories, we are referring to energy. So in order for you to prevent marasmus, you must eat a food that provides you with energy, and you must eat food that provides you with protein. Now, for example, on the picture there, you can see that these are some of the foods that can provide you with protein. We have foods like meat, eggs, cheese, fish, broccoli, you mentioned them. So in addition to this, you must also have some foods that will provide you with carbohydrate. Since we know that marasmus is a disease that can happen due to lack of energy-giving food as well as protein. For most patients, preventing simple goiter is as easy as a small change in diet. Iodine is necessary for producing thyroid hormones. Some patients do not eat enough iodine, so it causes the thyroid to work overtime to produce thyroid hormones. Using iodized stable salt can prevent simple goiter. So this is telling you that in order for you to prevent goiter, you must have some iodine in your diet. So you can get iodine from using iodized table salt, the normal salt that we use, that we put in our food. Just by having it, it will be able to prevent goiter. Next to the explanation, you can see that we have a picture of different foods. So these foods include cold fish, yogurt, baked potato, eggs, tuna fish, you mentioned them. So these are some of the foods that will provide you with iodine. Well, boys and girls, Chanel, it's activity time. So let's try to do some activities for you to check whether you really understood the topic or not. Number one, you need to complete this food safety crossword puzzle. So you have words across that you need to complete and words down. So read the instructions and complete the words according to the blocks. Question 2, what is a balanced diet? You need to write down the definition of a balanced diet. 3, what poor eating habits can lead to goiter? B, marasmus. Identify poor eating habits that can lead to goiter and marasmus. Question 4, how do you prevent these poor eating habits? Boys and girls, we have come to the end of our lesson today. Before we go, so let's try to sanitize our hands again. We make sure that we rub our palms together between our fingers, behind our hands. Chanel, do it properly. So rub on your thumb. Good. Now let's try to see if we are still keeping our social distancing. Yes, so it's very much important. Boys and girls, make sure that you keep safe. We see you next time. Bye-bye from the studio.
Hi everyone, I'm back. And if you are scared of what you read on social media, talk to your parents and ask them the questions. They know everything. Until next time, bye!
Thank you so much, Teacher Sitekela. Now we know what we need to know, everything we need to know about nutrition. Now, Teacher Buila Aces will be gracing us with her presence for grade 6, week 8, lesson 8. And we're going to learn about the human body. So stay tuned, grade 6s. Make sure you have your science books out. Make sure your pencils are sharpened. And make sure that you keep the social distancing. Over to you, Teacher Aces.
Hello, grade 6s. Welcome to my Zone Online School. I am Ms. Viola Aces and my friend here, Clarice. Let us remember to sanitize our hands. Rub in your palms between your fingers. Keep your distance. Clarice, please. 1.5 meters. And wear your mask at all times. Wear your mask. Today's lesson is the human body, diseases of the breathing system. Okay, let us grab our booklets. Grab a pencil or a pen that you can work with, that you can write on with, and open your booklet on page 20. Diseases of the breathing system. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to list common diseases of the breathing system, and you must be able to mention how those diseases can be prevented. The vocabulary for this lesson, COVID-19. COVID-19 is a mild to severe infectious respiratory illness caused by a coronavirus. Bronchitis. Bronchitis is an inflammation, a swelling. Inflammation means swelling of the mucous membranes in the bronchi. The bronchi are the tubes that we find in our lungs. Then the common diseases of the breathing system we will be focusing on: coughing and sneezing, colds, asthma, tuberculosis, bronchitis, coronavirus, also known as COVID-19. Let us all turn to page 21. The common diseases of the breathing system, our breathing system, the respiratory system, any disease that can affect your lungs, any disease that will affect your nose, your throat, those are the diseases of the breathing system. So the very first one there is colds and coughs. Colds and coughs, as the name already says, if you are coughing a lot or you have a flu, a runny nose, you are sneezing, that is colds and coughs. How can you prevent it? Wash your hands with soap and running water. Every time that you have sneezed, you should wash your hands. Cover your mouth with a tissue and dispose of the tissue immediately. Every time you have used a tissue, do not keep it to use it again. Throw it away immediately. Keep warm to prevent getting sick, especially now that it's winter. This is the time that we will be experiencing a lot of flu. So keep warm, and at night, wear a jersey, keep warm. Drink a lot of fluids, especially hot drinks. Fluids, it will help to keep your respiratory system active. So drink water, drink hot coffee, just drink a lot of hot drinks. Avoid contact with sick people. If you see that your little brother is sick, your elder brother is sick, avoid contact with them. Do not sit next to those people. Otherwise, you can also be infected. And if you are sick, avoid contact with other people. Rather stay on your own or sleep. And the very last one, very important, get vaccinated. This is the time when you can go to the clinics and then you can get a vaccine against flu. Before you get the flu, you are already vaccinated against it. Okay, the second one is asthma. Asthma is a well-known disease. Most of the people suffer from asthma. It affects our respiratory system. You will find difficulty in breathing when you have asthma. To avoid asthma, identify asthma triggers and avoid them. Asthma triggers are the ones that can cause you to, some people are allergic to dogs, some people are allergic to meds, some people are allergic to plants, and this can be your asthma triggers, because if you are exposed to them, you will find it difficult to breathe. So rather avoid the asthma triggers. Stay away from allergens, all of the ones that you are allergic to. Take your medication. Asthmatic people are given an asthma pump. Asthmatic people are given tablets to drink. So take your medication in order to avoid any asthma attack. Avoid smoke of any kind. Smoke of any kind, whether it's first-hand or second-hand smoking. Don't sit next to people that are smoking. Do not sit around fires. Avoid smoke, whether it's from the car, exhaust fumes, wherever. Avoid smoke of any kind. And the very last one is to prevent colds, the first disease that we mentioned. Prevent colds, because if you have a cold or flu, this is also the way that asthma attacks can start. Okay, the third disease, bronchitis. Bronchitis also affects our lungs. So don't smoke. That is the very first way to avoid bronchitis. Don't smoke. Don't smoke is not just for people that are smoking cigarette. It's also for the people sitting around the others that are smoking, being exposed to a lot of smoke at the fire as well. Avoid all of that. If you catch a cold, get plenty of rest. Bronchitis will make you feel tired. So it is better if you have plenty of rest, take your fluids, take your medication, and sleep. That way you can recover much more faster. Eat a healthy diet. Our fruits and veggies. Most of you people are not eating those green things in your plate. You need to eat a lot of fruits and veggies. And the very last one, wash your hands often, because you don't know who has sneezed on a surface that has bronchitis and you have touched it. So rather, wash your hands often. Okay. Number 4, tuberculosis, also known as TB. TB is also wildly spread in Namibia. A lot of people are infected with TB, but TB has treatment. It has treatment. There is no need to be scared if you have TB and you stay home and you don't want to complete your medication. You need to continuously be at the hospital, and that is the only way that you can recover from tuberculosis. Take all your medicine as they are prescribed. Some people will be put on medication for 6 months period, maybe stay at home. Some people might be admitted. Take your medication as prescribed to you. Keep all your doctor's appointments, very, very important, because every time that you come to the hospital, the doctor has to keep checking how far along are you. Are you taking your medication as prescribed? Are you recovering? Is there any change? Do you need to be given other medicine or what? So you need to keep going to the doctor. And the very last one, wash your hands regularly. We can see that washing your hands is mentioned at all of these diseases. It's a clear indication of how important this is. Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands with soap and running water. Then the very last disease we will be focusing on today is COVID-19, also known as coronavirus. This is something new that we have all just been exposed with currently. So COVID-19 affects your respiratory system. COVID-19 is not about I'm young and I'm old. COVID-19 is not about your immune system and whatever. Yes, your immune system does play a very important role, because if you have a stronger immune system, you will recover much more faster. But it is better always, prevention is better than cure. So let us look at how to prevent COVID-19. 1, wash your hands with soap and water. It should be running water, not just water in a bucket. So everyone is coming at home washing their hands in the same bucket. That is not right. It should be washing your hands with running water. Maintain social distancing, 1 meter. Now that a lot of people are exposed to COVID-19, it is better to keep 1.5 meters. Maintain your social distancing. COVID-19 is spread through the saliva, so you do not know, as the person is standing there next to you talking, saliva might have fallen on a surface, and then you touch that surface, you forget to wash your hands, you touch your face. So through your nose, through your mouth, through your eyes, those droplets could enter and you can be exposed to COVID-19. So maintain your social distancing. Wear a mask, very, very important. Your mask should cover your nose and your mouth. Some masks are only covering the mouth. It is not right. Your mask has to cover your nose. Your eyes are already exposed. So at least wear a mask to cover your nose and mouth. Wear a mask to protect yourself. Wear a mask to protect the person next to you. Wear a mask. Your mask should not be loose and hanging. It should be fitted tightly onto you. So do not buy a small mask or do not buy a big mask. Don't touch your eyes or your nose or your mouth. That is very, very difficult, especially for you grade 6s. You like to scratch everywhere. But during this time, don't touch your eyes, your nose, or your mouth. Do not touch. Stay home if you feel sick. Stay at home. Isolate yourself. Stay at home. These symptoms of COVID-19 are the same symptoms that you will experience when you have a cough or a cold. So you are never really sure what the sickness will be. So rather isolate yourself until you are sure that this that I'm having is just an ordinary cold or it's just a normal cough. So rather isolate. If you feel unwell, stay at home, stay in bed, drink your fluids, stay at home. If you have a fever or a cough, difficulty in breathing, these are some of the signs that you will be experiencing. A fever, meaning that you are very hot, you are sweating. If you have a fever or you have a cough, continuous, you can't just cough for one day and want to be tested tomorrow. If your cough is continuous and you have difficulty in breathing, some of the people that have asthma will experience this a lot. So sometimes you're not sure if it's an asthma attack or if it is COVID-19, but it is better to be tested. Seek medical attention. Call in advance. So instead of going to the hospital to go sit in line while you do not know what you are exposed to, it is better to just call a doctor and go there. Or you can call the COVID hotline number and then they will assist you. Follow the directions that you will be given, meaning that if they tell you to stay at home, drink this medicine, take what, you need to follow those directions, and that is the only way that you will recover quickly. COVID-19 is unknown. We do not know much about it. All that we know is that if you are infected with it, your respiratory system is at risk. You are in grade 6, meaning that you are still very young, so you have to protect yourself. Stay at home, stop playing in the streets, soccer and whatever things you are playing, social distance, and wear a mask if you need to go to the shops. Okay, let us look at the activity on page 22. Only 2 questions have been given there for self-assessment, and you need to answer those questions there. Do not pick going to look at the answers. We will find out which people are looking at the answers there at the back. Number 1, list 4 common diseases of the breathing system. Any 4 diseases of the breathing system. Number 2, describe how the above mentioned common diseases can be prevented. What can you do to prevent? What can you do to protect yourself against getting these diseases? Remember that prevention is better than cure. Okay, so that is the end of today's lesson. Diseases of the breathing system, very, very important. Protect yourself. There are lots of diseases that you can get, but if you protect yourself, you will not get any of those diseases. Stay home, eat healthy, wash your hands, wear a mask, stay home. Remember to sanitize between your fingers, your palms, sanitize for 20 seconds. Wear a mask at all times. If you're going to visit at your auntie's house, if you're going to the shop, wear a mask. And remember, if you go out in public, keep your social distancing. 1 meter apart, social distancing. That is all from us today. Bye.
Hi everyone, I'm back, and if you are scared of what you read on social media, talk to your parents and ask them the questions. They know everything. Until next time, bye!
Thank you so much, Teacher Aces. Because of you, all the teachers, I'm getting smarter day by day just by sitting on this couch and having fun in the lesson as well. Because of you, I know the diseases in the breathing system. Before I say goodbye, which is the saddest part, we'll head over to the Oshana region and speak to the inspector, Mr. Kapolo of the Umpunja Circuit, to see how the distribution of the booklets were taking place. Now, from me, here from the studio, it's goodbye. Please guys, remember to wash your hands for 20 seconds, make sure to sanitize and keep the social distancing. See you next time. Bye.
My name is Ofni Kapolo. I am the Inspector of Education, responsible for Umpunja Circuit under the Directorate of Education, Oshana region. My feedback on the circulations of printed materials, I would say we have received quite sufficient printed materials from head office, which is being delivered day by day by the regional office. Our task here at the circuit office is to distribute the same materials to respective schools. We have 34 schools, including private schools. However, when we distributed materials, were not quite enough to cover all the schools, private and governments. What we did first, we distribute to government schools, and then the leftovers, we gave leftovers to private school. So to say, private school has also demanded to say if it's possible to get even a copy, one copy of the same material so that they can duplicate, make copies out of these materials to give to their learners. As I said, materials are being delivered day by day. Firstly, we received the first consignment. We have distributed it all to the schools. And then throughout the course of the week, 2 weeks now, we've been receiving portion by portion. And still, as soon as we receive, we communicate it to school. We put it on the WhatsApp group to indicate to the schools that we have received this number of materials for these grades. The feedback from the parents and from the learners themselves, we did not receive the feedback yet. Perhaps since we did not make a follow-up to ask the school, how did the parents find the materials? How did the learner find the materials? However, we are going to ask the schools to give us what what kind of feedback they get from the community, what kind of feedback they get from the parents as well as from the learners, and we will inform you.